Hey everybody, it's Joshua Campbell, your knowledge broker. This is our first ever podcast for the Knowledge Broker podcast. And joining me is Trish Riswick, who is our marketing manager here at Knowledge Broker Real Estate. So, Trish, how are we starting out?
All right. Well, I think the best place to start is some introductions. So, Josh, tell our listeners and our viewers a little bit more about yourself.
Well, I've been working in real estate since 2004, which would make this year coming up, or 2005. This is my 15th year coming up. So I've been doing real estate for quite a long time. I still feel like I'm always learning and ultimately also growing a team as well.
And where do you live?
In Newmarket, Ontario.
Yeah, me too. Well, like Josh mentioned, my name is Trish Riswick. I am a recent graduate from Ryerson University, and I live in Newmarket and I work for Josh. And I'm really excited to be doing this podcast. I think this is a really cool opportunity we have.
Same here.
All right, so with that out of the way, let's talk Knowledge Broker. Let's talk about the origins of Knowledge Broker, why you wanted to get into real estate, and kind of how has it blossomed in the last almost 15 years of your career.
Sure. I first got into real estate in 2005, as I said, and when I came out of university, I didn't know what to do. So I went to Western for business, which I didn't even know I was going to get into business originally. And when I came out of school, I really liked the idea of working for myself, knowing that I was going to get paid what I was worth and putting effort into things and making change. So I looked actually at the insurance industry at first start, and I did not really feel like it was a good fit for me. I felt that the idea of life insurance and just the morbidness of it wasn't for me. And
You wanted to sell life.
sure, I also didn't want to sell. I wanted to be more of a service person than selling a product. So ultimately, when I looked at the real estate side, I had a couple friends getting into it, some friends' parents and whatnot as well. So I saw some opportunity where you could actually do a service. In regards to Knowledge Broker, it came to me about 3 or 4 years ago, where I started thinking about real estate in general and how to, I guess, reestablish myself and identify a brand. So I created this Knowledge Broker real estate brand, and I thought at the very beginning, the reason behind it was because I wanted people to remember Knowledge Broker versus a name, because if you drive around in real estate, you see a lot of names on signs.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I thought it'd be easier to remember a company. That was my first thought. How do you create something that people remember more besides your own name? And then after that, it curtailed into me wanting to grow a business and create an experience for people that was unforgettable and ultimately something that people can work towards, rather than if we hire people, they don't feel like they're working for a name, they're working for an organization.
So in the last 4 to almost 5 years, how have you made Knowledge Broker more than just, a company, but like a name and a brand that people can identify with?
It's a good question. I started out by hiring my first assistant to take some of the marketing and the social media stuff off of my hands because of time.
Oh, yeah.
And then I was able to focus more on clients. Eventually, I went to hiring a marketing manager, yourself as well. We have a client experience manager as well, in addition to a client coordinator. And you think about all the positions as they make up. I'm a true believer that if you hire people that are really good at what they do and they enjoy it, then ultimately they're gonna blossom. So I'm trying to take stuff off of my plate as the real estate agent to allow others to take over things that they would enjoy and be really good at.
Yeah.
And then ultimately you can create an organization where everybody has a lot of fun and also everybody's really successful.
Absolutely. And so where did your logo come into play? Because the light bulb is something that's it's like something simple to remember. Was that part of your process too, when creating Knowledge Broker, to create just an icon that could be related easily to Knowledge Broker, like the apple is to Apple?
Yeah. When I first thought of Knowledge Broker, it's funny how I thought of many different names.
Yeah.
Whether it was like the Campbell Group or something associated with me. I also came up with other real estate oriented type titles. For some, I don't know what happened. But it popped in my head about Knowledge Broker. I used to do this with coaching. I had a coach named Tom Ferry, and he always used to refer to be the knowledge broker in your market. And I was like, oh, I like that. And then, because I'm a really big person on knowledge and education, and knowing, I feel like it's a huge skill to know more than others, especially when it comes to your expertise and people hire you for that purpose. So when I was creating Knowledge Broker, I thought, okay, I like the idea of a light bulb, and I went through many different logos.
Yeah, like
And
what was the number two choice?
I feel like some of it was like the idea, like a bubble in a head.
Okay.
I also had like a skull with like an idea coming out of it, like a head, not a skull, but a
Okay.
head
Yeah.
with a bubble coming out of it, and it was like that was the knowledge thing. And eventually, I came up with the light bulb, and then associated with the house,
Yeah.
so that it was more identifiable. And then the neat thing is, I find as Knowledge Broker gets more and more known, people know the light bulb in the house, and they start to associate it with
Yeah,
real estate.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. So what are your hopes then for Knowledge Broker in the future? What do you want your next 5 years to ideally look like?
5 years from now, I would love to have 10 to 15 employees, if possible. Probably a third of that would be sales staff,
Yeah.
which would be agents working with their own clientele underneath the Knowledge Broker umbrella. And ultimately, the other 10 people would be all staff working in their best, I guess, most optimal, most unique way. And when I refer to sales staff as well, my dream is to try and take real estate, which is very much a commission-based job,
Yeah.
and try and take that away in the sense that I'd rather pay people salary.
Okay.
I think that there's a huge opportunity in this business to pay people salary. There's a lot of people in real estate that I think would be absolutely amazing salespeople, but they don't necessarily want to handle the risk of having to make every single dollar they possibly can. So if I could take a bit of risk off of people's shoulders, I think that they could really succeed in this business.
Yeah. So kind of make it more of about like you're kind of sustaining yourself as you go along, and then the commissions are like more like bonuses in a way.
Yeah, for the people.
Yeah.
And I also look at it just more as a business as well in the knowledge broker side, growing the company and having a culture where people have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So I picture an office with like whether it's the ping pong table or the pool table. I see people coming in every single day, and it's not a typical real estate office that's very much people working on their own,
Yeah.
in their own silos. It'll be more of a team environment where everybody comes in and they want to be at work.
Yeah.
So it'll be a lot of fun, super techy, have green screens and stuff like that in the office place.
That'd be pretty cool. I mean, that'd be great for us because then we could, do all
Sure.
this kind of stuff there too.
Sure.
Okay, so if that's your long-term goal, what would be your short-term goal then? So thinking like a year from now, where do you see yourself?
1 year from today, so this would be, we're in August.
Mm-hmm.
So by next August, I'm hoping to have a small yet growth ability office place.
Yeah.
That'll be a unique place for people to go in and work. We've been talking about shared coffee spaces and whatnot as well. Something unique where people will feel excited to come to work, but also be very inviting to the public. That's goal number one, which will be hopefully in the next 3 to 6 months tops. I'd also like to hire a couple individuals, one doing front office,
Yeah.
or we'll call it front stage, backstage. So someone doing operations and someone doing sales management, and one more.
Yeah.
I want to get some sales staff, by all means, to actually complement this business because we're scaling it, and I think it's time to be able to grow that part of it.
Absolutely. And talking about growth, obviously you've been in real estate for 15 years or close to 15 years. In those 15 years, what's the biggest transformation you've seen in real estate? Whether it be, the use of social media more or just in agents themselves or kind of what the end goal sort of thing. What has been the biggest change you've seen?
I think the biggest change is technology, which is
Yeah.
it's too easy to say just technology. The ability for the buyers and sellers to have access to information has changed a lot.
Yeah.
So that would mean that they have access to all the sales data around them. Buyers know what things are selling for as well. Buyers have easier access to the sellers because there used to be this wall called the real estate agent that would protect their information and everything
Yeah,
else.
absolutely.
I'm a huge proponent of transparency, meaning give everybody the information they can get, have it free and have it accessible. And then ultimately the job of the real estate agent is to be the service person, not the person that has this information. I don't see us as just these information sources because that information should be free.
Yeah.
At that point in time, they come to the real estate agent for their expertise and their experience, which makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. So branching off of just technology. So 15 years ago, like, how are you sharing that information? How have you always been that transparent since day one, or is it something that because of technology we're allowed to be more transparent?
Technology's definitely helped.
Yeah.
It's funny how you become a proponent of these things. There was a time in, I guess, in 2005 when I first got into the business. Websites were just starting to come around.
Yeah.
The internet was it was definitely still in its youth, to the point that if you had a couple contact pages, that's all you really had in website for real estate. Nowadays, everybody has their listings on there, and they changed recently. Well, not recently, back then, where you could actually host all the different listings from the entire marketplace on your website, which was a big change in the environment of being able to share information. And there's a lot of kickback from a lot of real estate agents that didn't want other agents showing their properties or on their websites because they thought that they wouldn't represent them well. There was probably a bit of jealousy, lots of reasons behind the scenes, where I was a huge proponent of it, knowing that we're working with everybody and it's our job to show every single house. So ultimately, that major change brought about transparent ways, whether we liked it or not.
Absolutely. And so what's one thing that you've always wanted Knowledge Broker to represent?
Transparency.
Yeah.
Integrity is key. And honesty, making sure, I feel like the definition of integrity is actually owning up to your honesty.
Absolutely.
So if you say something, do it. I'm a big proponent, and we outline our entire process of how we treat our clients to the point that they see everything that we're doing. There's no curtain or anything like that. They're allowed to see it, and we're just perfecting this process as we go.
Yeah. And do you think a lot of real estate agents are following like similar values, or do you think that Knowledge Broker kind of stands alone with what their values look like?
I'd like to hope that the values are similar. I feel like a lot of real estate agents are into it for the purpose of doing their client a good job.
Yeah.
I don't believe a lot of them are doing it via process, and a lot of them aren't perhaps disclosing the process, showing everybody what they're doing, and not holding back any information, and literally just being that expert in their life that they can come to. And I always thought, if someone's saying, Josh is showing us all this information for free, well, what else does he know?
Exactly.
So that's my value offering of this stuff is the stuff I'm willing to show you all day long. Not even willing, I'm pushing at you.
Yeah. I want to show it to you.
Exactly, call me for more.
So would you say that's the biggest thing that differs you from other real estate agents?
I'd like to think so.
Yeah.
I'd like to think so. My attention to detail in the process design is probably a bit unique. I'm sure I have a bit of an OCD towards making this process so ironclad to the point that we can literally just tweak things and make things better. I don't know if everybody's going to the process and the software design that we're doing, which is probably a huge differentiator, especially when it comes to consistency for people's experiences.
So would you say that Knowledge Broker is kind of going away from the typical real estate process? And is there something more unique to Knowledge Broker than other real estate processes?
Yeah, if you think about the comment that I made about hiring salaried professionals, it's completely opposite of any
Absolutely. It's
real
very
estate
unique.
business. Completely different, yeah. Thinking of that mindset of creating I always thought when I first got into real estate that I thought that real estate was going to get taken over by the banks. So if you walked into RBC or CIBC or TD, why didn't they have a real estate agent just sitting there?
Yeah.
They have access to all this information. They have the culture. They have a lot of money in marketing to be spent. And it hasn't happened. And I always thought it would go that way. And I thought, if it's not going that way, why don't I create that way?
Yeah.
So if you think about a bank, they're all salaried people. There's no one in there just on commission. People go in there and they see recognizable faces.
Yeah.
They have landmarks and buildings within the community that people can go to, which I purposely want to build.
Yeah.
So differentiation, for sure. We're doing something completely different compared to the rest.
Absolutely. So, okay, so actually on that then, in your dream world, would you like to create like Knowledge Broker things like an RBC, like how the banks, are on almost every street, not every street, but they're quite familiar in the neighborhood. Would you want to build Knowledge Broker out like that, or do you want it to keep it very central to like one spot?
Is the scaling that we're doing with process design and software will allow it to grow geographically. I think that it does have opportunity, and I'm a huge proponent of pushing it out because I think it is such an amazing way to do real estate. The trick is to find other people that believe in the same concept. So creating companies where they are salaried with bonuses, no different than if you think about almost every other industry where they have salary plus bonus. Real estate's one of the very few that doesn't have it. There is a small percentage of real estate that does do this, and it's in corporate real estate, which is investment banking, which would be downtown kind of stuff, where they're selling large buildings. I mean, portfolios of 50 to 60 to 70 million dollars and above for buildings. And they actually pay their staff, their sales representatives that hold licenses, they pay them salary plus bonus. Now, that's in a complete extreme, but at the same time, you can take that exact same model and bring it into local residential or small commercial brokerage within communities outside the downtown.
I'm really interested to hear, like we've said, 15 years in the business. Obviously, you've changed over time. And obviously, Knowledge Broker will change over time. What's like one thing you wish you could tell yourself 15 years ago? And what's the one thing you wish you could tell yourself 4 years ago when you were starting Knowledge Broker?
Patience.
Yeah?
Yeah. I would tell myself constantly, have patience. If you build it properly, the business will grow. And if you build it with patience and do it to the speed that you can do it, ultimately you're going to build something that people will want to work for. When I got in the business, you think that you're going to run out of the gates and make a lot of money and establish your name.
Yeah.
And you realize that very quickly that that's not the case. You realize very quickly that everybody else is doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And then you're running and chasing after your next lead, which is probably one of the most scariest things you can do in any business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not knowing where your next business is going to come from. So I decided to create an organization and a company, Knowledge Broker, where it constantly is marketed very well, offering value to clients and prospective clients, so that when the time comes, they call. So it's a difference to hunting. It's more of an attracting game.
Yeah, definitely.
If you think more like a typical man versus woman, the way that they would attract a spouse or a partner. Men would often go out there and say, for instance, they would to a restaurant or a bar. They would go out there, and the women would be able to be like, nope, not that one, not that one. And then on the other side, women would just probably dress super appropriately and present themselves with high quality and value to the point that they can say yes or no to people. So it's almost an attraction model versus the hunting.
Yeah.
And the attraction, it's kind of like you pick and choose who you want to work with, and you'll hopefully attract the people that you really want to work with or potentially like be with as a partner.
So Knowledge Broker is kind of like the lady in this situation. You know?
It's thinking, well, not the lady in the situation, but thinking more of in that attraction model.
Yeah.
It is marketing. So you can either hunt in real estate or hunt in any business.
Yeah.
You can hunt or you can attract. Hunting, you're looking for your next one all the time. Attracting is very much attracting the people that you'd want to work with anyway. So I find this one here is more consistent. You can also predict it more. You know that there's ebbs and flows in business, but the neat thing is with the attraction model, it's like a water flow. With the other one, you got to go out there and hunt and find somebody,
lows.
and then you come back in, and then it's quiet, and you go back out again. Yeah.
I'm happy that you brought up attraction, just because this kind of we'll be talking more about this as the podcast progresses, and it's interesting because I feel like we've covered a lot in this first episode that we are going to talk about more in depth, more ideas further down the line. So I think for a first episode, this is a great place to put a pin in.
Okay.
And like I said, for our viewers, we are going to be giving you so much good content over the next couple of weeks. We're very excited that we're doing this.
Yeah,
and
for sure. It's gonna be amazing.
Yes, it's gonna be so fun. And this, like we said, this is a channel not just for real estate professionals, but for business professionals, entrepreneurs, everyone, you know, if you're getting started to maybe you're like 5 years into it like us. And we would love to hear all your comments, any tips you even have for us too, on how we can, you know, be better in every way.
Yeah.
And we'd love to start conversations with you guys too. So you can email us, you can follow us at knowledgebrkr, and just, get in contact with us. We'd love to hear what you have to think. So any closing thoughts there, Josh?
Besides being super excited to do this, and thank you very much for helping me do this. I really wanted to do this podcast thing. I feel like it's a really good opportunity to connect in a raw way with our, I guess, audience.
Yeah.
Which isn't necessarily even potential clients, just audience in general.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited as to what's going to come next.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool.
Awesome.
All right, so you guys can check us out every Tuesdays. We're going to be putting our podcasts live wherever you hear podcasts. So until next time, I'm Trish.
And Josh.
We'll see you next Tuesday.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you very much for stopping by our channel. If you have any questions or if you're looking to buy or sell, go to our website and contact us today. Knowledge is power and creates experts in understanding. If you want power, hit thumbs up on this video and subscribe to our channel so you can get weekly videos from me, your knowledge broker.